have a good time at those ice cream socials. And one of the reasons they had a great time is they learned a lot about each other that they didn't even know. So I'll be repeating those probably every month, actually, as we get new people too, and some at night. So for the working people, if that's easier, we'll do more at night. Oh, and I'm at fault, but we do want to get everybody to start wearing name tags. So I'm not setting a good example this morning, but I'll do better next time. And it really helps everybody know each other's names, because somebody comes up to you and they know your name, but you don't know theirs, and it's kind of embarrassing, you know, so it's good to, and we'll have maybe somebody back there handing your name tag, you know, and they don't put holes in your clothes, they're magnetic, so it's really good. All right, are you all ready for a joke on this summer solstice? Okay. So there is a store that sells new husbands. It's opened in Melbourne, and it's where a woman can go and she can choose a husband. And there's instructions at the entrance and their description of how the store operates, and you have to pay attention to these. These are real rules. You can only visit the store once. There's 6 floors, and they ascend in value as you go up the floors. Now, the shopper can choose a husband from any floor, and she can choose to go up to the next floor, but she can't go back down except to exit the building. Okay. So the woman goes into the first floor to find a husband. The first floor says, oh, these men have jobs. And she thinks, well, she's intrigued, but she wants a little more. She goes to the second floor. Floor 2 says, these men have jobs and love kids. And she's thinking, well, that's great, okay. But I want a little more too. So the third floor reads, these men have jobs, love kids, and are extremely good looking. Wow, she thinks she's compelled to stop there, but she keeps going. She goes to the 4th floor, where the sign reads, these men have jobs, they love kids, they're drop-dead good looking, and they help with housework. Oh, mercy me, she exclaims. I can hardly stand it. Still, she goes to the 5th floor, and the sign reads, floor 5. These men have jobs, love kids, drop-dead gorgeous, help with the housework, and have a strong romantic streak. She's so tempted to stay at the 5th floor, but she goes to the 6th floor, where the sign reads, your visitor, 31,456,000 to this floor. There are no men on this floor. This floor exists solely as proof that women are impossible to please. Thank you for shopping at the husband store. Now, to avoid gender bias, the store's owner opened a new wife store just across the street. You can get a new wife there. So there's same rules. First floor has wives that love making love. The guy thinks, well, okay, that's good. Second floor, these wives love making love, have jobs, and like beer. The 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th floors have never been visited. Now, I know there's stereotypes, but it's kind of fun, isn't it? Yeah. So, happy Father's Day to everybody. And I know there's fathers and dads out there, so we'd like to honor you. If you're a father or a dad, we'd like you to stand, and we would like to acknowledge you. And Don back there, yeah. So, yeah, beautiful. And, you know, it's an honor to be a dad, but it's quite challenging, isn't it? Yeah, so I did a book study last spring with a couple of friends, and it was on a book that I'm going to talk about today. It's called Sovereign Love by Danae Logan. I think it'll be a classic. And she's this marriage and family therapist, and she's worked at it for over a decade. And she sees these patterns, and so she writes these books about these patterns. And it's about the dynamics in relationships. And she has some terms for these patterns. She calls them the healthy feminine energy, the healthy masculine energy, the wounded feminine energy, and the wounded masculine energy. So she studied depth psychology, referred to as the psychology of the soul. So it's a book that really challenges our beliefs and our structures about marriage and about all relationships. And she writes that about how each of us was entrained as a young person, as either a young girl or a young boy, and how these play out in the dynamics of relationships. And when we learn how they play out, then we can progress in relationships because we start to understand our triggers. But when we don't understand these underlying factors, sometimes we just quit on relationships. So sometimes, I know probably many of you have had a divorce sometime in your life, or even a second marriage or a third marriage that didn't work out. I know most Unity ministers have gone through 4 relationships because, they're always looking for the same person to grow spiritually with them. So we know that we're at a time of great change in our society, that all the old structures are breaking down and we're creating new ones. So we would like something that works better. And so today's topic is really men. And how many of us, I'm asking this question, how many of us know that June is Men's Health Month and also Mental Health Month? Yeah, it is. Yeah, right? We don't even know that, right? And why the focus? Why is June Men's Health and Men's Mental Health Month? Well, because males in the U.S., 70% die by, 70% of the suicides are male, so it's almost 4 times the amount of women. And we know that 1 in every 10 men experience anxiety or depression, and less than half of that seek treatment. So this month of June is meant to break the silence around men's health and men's mental health so they can actually, ask for support and fight the stigma in communities about men and mental health. And nationally, men make up 60% of the homeless, and if they're single men, they make up 70% of the homeless. So we know that there's a lot of room for improvement. Can anybody agree with that? Yeah, we really are. So what makes men not reach out for help when they're sometimes depressed or they're contemplating suicide? Well, boys are taught from an early age to be stoic and man up or be a man. How many of you have heard that growing up? Man or woman, how many of you have heard that? Right, and maybe still hear it. So, and if men fail to match these societal expectations, they're shamed. And Marge Brown, our great teacher, she teaches that shame is the worst because shame sticks. And so what are some ways boys are shamed early on? The first time that he throws a ball and throws like a girl. Oh God, all the boys make fun of him. Or what if he wears something that the other boys think that this is a little bit feminine? Or what about when he sheds tears and some fathers, give him a look like you're not supposed to be crying like that. So we live in a society that teaches men that masculinity is something to be performed rather than their whole being, just the beingness. And what it does is it suppresses men to be all of who they are. So there's an author, Bell Hooks, and she writes, learning to wear a mask, that word is already embedded in the word masculinity, is the first lesson in patriarchal masculinity that a boy learns. He is asked to give up his true self in order to receive the patriarchal ideals. Boys learn self-betrayal early and are rewarded for these acts of soul murder. Boys are taught not to feel How many know that boys are taught not to feel? Right. And girls are taught not to care that boys don't feel. And then how many of us have heard so many women complaining about their spouses not expressing their feelings without considering that boys are trained not to express their feelings, right? It's like a crazy thing in our society. It just doesn't work. So Logan reminds us in her teachings that this current patriarchal structure teaches men that their innate worth is in their ability to be respected by others as men. And they're taught this early that it's an external aspect. So they're looking externally out there for their worth. And there's 3 ways, she said, they get their worth. First, through the celebration of aggression or violence or in defense of their honor, mainly playing, sports like football, hanging out in sports bars, and always being in competition with other men. Second, through the accumulation of material wealth or power, of course, to provide for the person's family. So the role we assign to men in our Western culture is either protector, provider, or leader. And the third way is through sexual prowess and the ability to dominate or objectify women, like having a trophy wife, which reinforces, of course, the idea that societal respect is earned by treating women as an object rather than as an equal human being. So men are trained not to be vulnerable and ask for help when they need it. And what's considered vulnerable is the equivalent of having themselves be fully seen and fully heard. So the result, they don't ask for mental health care when they need it. They don't ask for help when they're committing suicide or contemplating it. And they don't ask for help when they're facing homelessness. I was presenting at a summit last spring, and there was a gentleman there who had been in the Army, I don't remember what branch, and he was tearfully describing this program called the PATH, P-A-T-H-H, so it's got an extra H on it. And it stands for Progressive and Alternative Training for Helping Heroes. And what he said was, this program is, it runs twice a month, it's totally free, including travel and lodging, and it starts with a 7-day intensive experience where men talk to one another about combat and being part of the war machine and the stuff that they've never talked about or they think they can't talk about. And then it's followed by 90 days of accountability and support that is, of course, on Zoom. But this program, PATH, P-A-T-H-H, boasts 50% less depression and anxiety in men just by them getting out what has happened to them. So I don't know how many of you have been in service or how many of you have friends that are in service that might know about this or benefit by knowing about this, but it's worth looking up on the computer, on the internet. So we have these really impossible standards society places upon men. And they are really faced with enormous contempt when they don't do the right thing, when they don't fit in that tight box that society has for them. And gay men who have sometimes learned to express their feelings and be vulnerable, they're met by contempt with other men, from other men. So it's clear we don't have a good representation, a healthy representation of masculinity in our world. And this suppression of a man's emotion can look like minimizing, compartmentalizing, numbing, isolating, or distracting. And a lot of this, of course, happens through addictions. So I know we can do better. So women have had their feminist revolution, haven't we? Have we had that? Yes, we have. And we may have to do another one, it seems like, because of, what's going on here. But it's really time for men to have their revolution. This message I entitled Fathers, Dads, and Ties, because not only are the ties that are wrapped around the neck that are choking, But it's the ties that for generations, the male identity was still the same for generations and generations and generations. You're either provider, protector, or leader, you know? And all of our roles are changing and evolving. So this is a good time to switch up. All of us, each one of us, is being asked as we move through and ascend into our divine being that we have to balance in each one of us the sacred masculine energy and the sacred feminine energy for us to all be whole and healthy and create these structures for the new earth and future marriages that actually are partnerships that work. So that means that each person in the relationship, in the partnership, actually gets to be the highest version of their selves. No one's held back. So Abraham Hicks talks about young people that are not defining themselves in the box as either male or female. And some seem to have come in having balanced both masculine and feminine energy. So they're not buying into the traditional sex roles. Hicks says they're stretching our minds. They're making us open to them. And it's they or them and not just he or she. And who cares how they express, because we're not the body, right? Everybody knows we're not the body. We're really spirit, right? So I remember getting corrected by a congregant telling me that the way to say it is they or them. That's the correct language. While simultaneously hearing my English teacher in my head going, well, wait a minute, that's not correct English. But it really is, it works, because if they feel like they're balanced he and she, they or them together works. So I was listening to, at one time, some podcasts of men who were holding retreats, and they were trying to get men to feel and be in touch with their emotions. And one of the male facilitators who holds retreats, he said that young men don't know how to be young men anymore. He said because they sit in front of computers all day long. Some of them felt like the young men were wandering aimlessly or they're unmotivated. But in the light of everything that's going on, of all the changes that are happening in Earth right now, and everything that is really changing, it's the tight box that they don't want to fit in anymore, that they're supposed to be fitting in as either, protector, provider, or leader. And some of them, I believe, are saying to themselves, I don't want to do that, or maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I actually want to express differently. And many young men feel uncertain about where they actually fit in right now. And it's a challenge that needs to be addressed because fewer men are going to college and graduate school. I have male cousins who are teachers, have been teachers for years. They're in their 50s. They can't get the guys to open the books at home. My one cousin, Chris, he says, there's nothing on TV. I don't remember which hour it is or which half hour it is. But he says, open your books for this half hour. And they just won't do it, So those cousins tell me the girls are outperforming them left and right. And fewer men under 30 are deciding not to participate in the workforce. So I feel like right now they feel disconnected from their purpose and they don't know how to, or they don't know how to open themselves to receiving emotional support. What do young men really want? They want meaning in their life. They're questioning social norms. They want to forge more authentic paths. They're craving purpose, but they need a guide. They want to have their soul in alignment with what they're supposed to do on the planet and not just follow the last generations of protector, provider, leader. So that's what's missing. It's not motivation. They'll rise when they're met with understanding and respect. So while many really look maybe aimlessly or like they're wandering aimlessly, it's really a heart that is ready to be ignited by an older sage, a mentor, a role model, someone who could fully listen and guide them. And this is where I believe the men of unity come in. This is where men's group can really be helpful to all men. And I know I've met some of you this week with the ice cream socials, and somebody asked me, did you eat ice cream every day? I said, no, I ate it 2 days. I didn't eat it the other 4 days. So I know some of you are helping the men in your families, probably some of your grandsons or some of your nephews, but we need to think wider, and Unity wants to spread our love wider and deeper. So some of you may resonate with having a men's group, a monthly men's group. And I always think co-leaders is a good thing, 2 or 3 leaders that way. With traveling, somebody's always there. So, and what you have to do is just put a stake in the ground and say you want to do it. So Jesus is our way shower, and Jesus was a rebel. He changed the world for the better, and this is why every one of us is here right now, to change the world for the better. Everybody know that? They say we've been training for centuries. So we want to change the world for the better. And so we have to ask ourselves, okay, if we're about love, what would love do? Because if it's not us, then who? We know it's nobody else, right? We know it's, I'm not going to mention any names about structures or government or anything like that, but we know it's up to us, right? So, and what they're telling us now, because of the energy that's coming in, is they're saying that the healing work we do now goes back 7 generations and it goes forward 7 generations. So we have an incredible opportunity. And we need everybody on the planet, especially young men and young women, to innovate, create new things, be happy and be alive in their fullness and not be held back by anything. And not be depressed or thinking about committing suicide. How many people know of a young person that has committed suicide, either through a friend or an acquaintance? Right, a lot. So we want to improve these statistics. So what would love do? So I came up with a few suggestions. You'll come up with a lot more. We can begin by sharing with our loved ones whenever we're talking to people that this is actually June is Men's Health, and June is Men's Mental Health Month. And if we're around males who we sense may be struggling, we may offer, being love, that we would like to spend some time with them. Going for a walk, doing things, of course, not face-to-face. You know how it is with some of the population. They like the side-to-side thing. They don't like the face-to-face thing, right? And that comes, I know, from combat training, too, so I'm not putting it down. And then when we're out and about, if we can sense the people that are struggling. How many people know when they see somebody, they know they're struggling? Right. So we can really be present with our love and our light and really smile and say, I'm really glad to see you. You matter. On this Father's Day week, I would like the men of Unity to contemplate, reach into their hearts, and see if love is calling you to form or reform a men's group. And of course, you just tell Kathy and we get a sign-up group and we plaster some posters around town. And then you figure out really easy topics so people will come not knowing that they have to, bare their souls. You figure out really easy things to do. What did you want to be when you grew up? Or the next month is, what's the best advice you've ever received? Or what's your talent? Or, something like that. So people never get to the deep stuff until they feel very, very safe. And we know Unity is a safe place. I've heard that many, many times. So we know Unity firmly believes in healing, because healing will unite us. And our founders, both of them, as most of you know, have demonstrated healing. They did the spiritual, mental, emotional work, and then it showed up physically. So co-founder Myrtle Fillmore, she was a young mother. The doctor said, get your affairs in order, you're going to die. She lived till she was 86. So she blessed the parts of her body. She did the spiritual healing, the mental, emotional, and it showed up physically. She lasted a very long time. And Charles, when he was 10, he had that skating accident. It made one leg 4 inches shorter. And during his lifetime, as he healed, he grew that leg 2.5 inches. So we only had a little bit of a shortage. So we know we can heal. It's been demonstrated. And we know we can heal the earth. And we know we heal the earth partly by healing ourselves and helping one another here. So I realize this is kind of a heavy-duty Father's Day message, yet, in our heart of hearts, we all know that we need this next generation to step up and take over. We know that. So we can't have them feeling like, they don't know what to do, or just because they don't want to do the same old things that everybody's done for generations, there's something wrong with them. Not so. So my belief is that we are all here to mentor, support, encourage, and help heal anything in anyone that is keeping them back from the divine potential. So again, happy Father's Day to all of you. Namaste.
Light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all